Rajim, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Irfan and I'm a foundation level student at Rehan School, Islamabad campus. So today I come with a call and our topic is with ChatGPT and our topic is and our sorry and our topic is whatever a journey through indifference. So first I connect to ChatGPT and then we start our conversation.
Hey there, I can
Hello
hear you loud and
ChatGPT,
clear.
how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How about you? Hope everything's going well on your end.
Okay, today I want to talk you on a topic whatever. Are you ready?
Absolutely, I'm ready. Just let me know
Okay,
the
my first
topic
question
and
to you is what does indifference mean to you personally? Give me a long and explain answer.
sure, for me personally, situation, person, or outcome. Sometimes it can be a protective mechanism where we distance ourselves emotionally to avoid being hurt. On the other hand, indifference can also be a sign of disconnection or apathy where we simply don't have the energy or interest to care. It's definitely a nuanced concept and it can vary a lot depending on context.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is have you ever felt indifference toward something important?
That's a really interesting question. I think everyone's experienced a bit of indifference at some point, even toward important things. For example, sometimes when we're overwhelmed or stressed, we might become indifferent to things we usually care deeply about. It can also happen when we feel disconnected or exhausted, and it's almost like a defense mechanism. It's definitely a complex feeling, and I think it's pretty common in the human experience.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is how do you recognize indifference in yourself? Give me a long and explain answer.
Recognizing indifference in ourselves can sometimes be subtle. One way is to notice a lack of emotional response when we'd normally feel something strongly, like excitement, concern, or passion. Another sign is a sense of numbness or a feeling of detachment from things we once cared about. We might also notice a lack of motivation or interest in activities that used to bring us joy. Reflecting on our emotions regularly, like through journaling or mindfulness, can help us spot indifference more easily. It's also useful to pay attention to patterns, like if we consistently feel disengaged in certain areas of life. Ultimately, self awareness and honesty with ourselves are key to recognizing. TK,
Okay,
may
nice
how to
answer. So my next question to you is, okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is, what emotion usually hide behind indifference?
That's a great question. Often, indifference can mask a range of emotions. For example, it might hide hurt or disappointment, especially if someone has been let down before and they build a protective barrier. It can also mask fear, like the fear of vulnerability or rejection, leading someone to appear indifferent to protect themselves. Additionally, it can hide sadness or grief, where someone might distance themselves from their emotions to avoid feeling the pain. So indifference is often a protective mask for deeper, more vulnerable emotions.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that, in is indifference a form of emotional protection or avoidance?
Absolutely, it often is. Indifference can definitely serve as a form of emotional protection, helping us shield ourselves from potential hurt or disappointment, difficult emotions, or situations that feel overwhelming. In that sense, indifference acts as a defense mechanism, allowing us to maintain a sense of control or stability. Of course, it can also become a habit that's hard to break if it's relied upon too much, but it definitely often has that protective element.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that can indifference ever be good thing?
That's a really interesting angle. In some cases, yes, indifference can be beneficial. For instance, it can help us maintain emotional distance in situations where getting too attached could lead to stress or burnout. It can also help us set boundaries and protect our mental well being, especially in challenging environments. Additionally, indifference can allow us to stay objective and make decisions without being clouded by overly strong emotions. So, in certain contexts, indifference can definitely have its positive aspects.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is, have you ever regretted being indifferent in a situation?
Absolutely. That can definitely happen. There are times when being indifferent can lead to missed opportunities or regrets, especially if we look back and realize that we could have made a difference and connected more deeply. For example, sometimes indifference can prevent us from offering support to someone who really needed it or might cause us to miss out on meaningful experiences. Over time, reflecting on those moments can definitely lead to a bit of regret and a desire to be more present or engaged in the future.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is, how do you overcome the feeling of not caring when you not actually should?
That's a really important question. Overcoming indifference often involves reconnecting with our emotions and finding meaning or purpose in what we're experiencing. One approach is to practice mindfulness, which helps us become more aware of our feelings and gently guide our attention back to what matters. Another helpful strategy is to set small, meaningful goals that reignite our interest and motivation. Engaging in activities that we're passionate about or spending time with supportive people can also help rekindle our care. And sometimes reflect, of course. So sometimes reflecting on the bigger picture or the long term impact of our actions can help us find renewed motivation and care. It's also useful to reach out for support, whether through friends, family, or even professional help to navigate those feelings. Over time, by building self awareness and engaging in practices that foster empathy, we can gradually overcome that indifference and bring more genuine care back into our lives. Great question. Some early signs of emotional detachment can include a lack of interest or enthusiasm in things we once enjoyed, feeling numb or disconnected from our emotions, and withdrawing from social interactions or relationships. We might also notice that we're more easily irritated or that we have difficulty empathizing with others. Another sign could be a general sense of apathy or feeling disconnected from our own goals and values. Paying attention to these early signs can really help us address them before they become more pronounced.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that why do you think society often becomes indifferent to other struggles?
That's a really thought provoking question. Often, societal indifference can stem from a variety of factors. For one, it can be a defense mechanism where people distance themselves emotionally to avoid feeling overwhelmed by the scale of other struggles. Of course, absolutely. Another reason could be a lack of awareness or understanding, where people might not be fully informed about the struggles others are facing. Additionally, susceptible indifference can also come from desensitization, especially with constant exposure to news or negative events, which can numb empathy over time. Also, systemic issues like inequality or a lack of resources can make it difficult for people to engage or feel empowered to help. Ultimately, it's a complex mix of psychological, social, and systemic factors that contribute to that indifference.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that how does indifference affect community relationship?
Indifference can have quite a profound impact on community relationships. When people become indifferent, it can create a sense of disconnect and isolation, which weakens trust and empathy within the community. It can lead to a lack of support networks, making it harder for people to come together during times of need. Over time, this can erode the sense of belonging and solidarity, and it may even foster division or conflict. On the flip side, when communities actively work to combat indifference by fostering empathy and engagement, it can strengthen bonds and create a more supportive and resilient environment.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is has how has social media influenced human indifference?
Social media definitely plays a big role in shaping indifference. On one hand, it can amplify awareness by connecting us to global issues and series, but on the other hand, it can also lead to desensitization with the constant stream of information and news. People might become overwhelmed and start to shut off emotionally, leading to a kind of compassion fatigue. Additionally, the way information is often presented, sometimes in a superficial or sensationalized way, can make it harder for people to engage deeply and empathize. On the flip side, though, social media can also foster positive engagement and collective action when it's used intentionally. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that do you think people today are more indifferent than in the past?
That's a really fascinating question. In some ways, it might seem like people today are more indifferent, especially because of the overwhelming amount of information and the constant connectivity, which can lead to emotional fatigue. On the other hand, we also have more platforms for empathy and awareness than ever before, and people are often more vocal about social issues. So it's kind of a mixed picture. Cultural and technological shifts definitely influence how we engage with each other, and while some forms of indifference might be more visible now, there are also new ways of building empathy and connection. It's definitely a complex topic.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that why do so my next question to you is what role does privilege play in developing indifference?
That's a really insightful question. Privilege can definitely play a significant role in fostering indifference. When individuals or groups are insulated from certain hardships or struggles because of economic status, social status, or other forms of privilege, they might not directly experience or understand the challenges that others face. This distance can lead to a lack of empathy or awareness and sometimes even a sense of complacency. Privilege can also create an environment where people feel less compelled to engage with or address the difficulties faced by others. On the flip side, recognizing privilege can also
Can you please
encouraging individuals.
continue with your answer?
Of course, recognizing privilege can really be a catalyst for empathy and action. When people become more aware of their own privileges, they're often more motivated to advocate for equity and support those who are less privileged. In essence, while privilege can sometimes lead to indifference, it can also be a powerful tool for fostering compassion and positive change when approached thoughtfully.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that okay, nice answer. So my next question to you, oh, hello, can you hear me? Hello, ChatGPT, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly, loud and clear. Let me know what you'd like to chat
Okay,
about
nice
or
answer. So my next question to you is, how can education help fight indifference?
education can play a really powerful role in combating indifference by raising awareness and fostering empathy. When people are educated about diverse perspectives, histories, and experiences, it helps break down stereotypes and biases. Education also encourages critical thinking, which empowers individuals to question the status quo and understand the root causes of social issues. Plus, through education, we can cultivate compassion and a sense of global citizenship, encouraging people to take meaningful action and support one another. Ultimately, education helps build a more informed, empathetic, and connected society.
O- Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that is indifference a silence from cruelty?
That's a really intriguing question. In many cases, indifference can indeed stem from a form of cruelty, especially when it involves the deliberate ignoring of someone's suffering or needs. It can be a kind of passive cruelty where a lack of empathy or concern leads to neglect or harm. On the other hand, indifference can also come from ignorance, overwhelm, or emotional fatigue rather than intentional cruelty. So, while indifference and cruelty can be linked, they're not always the same. It definitely depends on the context and the intentions behind it.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that what example of social indifference do you see around your daily?
That's a great question. Some common examples of social indifference might include things like people passing by those in need without offering help, or a general lack of engagement with pressing social issues like poverty, climate change, or inequality. Sometimes it can show up in the form of online apathy, where important issues get overlooked or ignored because they don't directly affect someone personally. Another example might be the normalization of certain injustices where people become desensitized over time. It's definitely something that can appear in many different contexts in daily life.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is nice answer. So my next question to you is: do you think globally trade lose impact of this word indifference?
That's a really thought-provoking question. In some ways, we can see that global awareness and interconnectedness, of course. So, in some ways, the rise of global communication and increased access to information has definitely helped reduce indifference globally. People are more aware of issues around the world and mobilize support more easily. However, there are still areas where indifference persists, often due to cultural, political, or economic factors. So, while we've made progress, it's definitely a mixed picture. Ultimately, it's an ongoing journey of fostering empathy and connection on a global scale.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that why that how do indifference affect empathy?
That's a great question. Indifference can really dampen empathy because when we become indifferent, we start to detach from the emotional experiences of others. That emotional distance can make it harder to relate to or understand what others are going through. Over time, this can lead to a kind of empathy fatigue where we become less responsive or less compassionate. In contrast, when we nurture empathy, we stay open and responsive to others' feelings and struggles. So indifference essentially acts as a barrier that reduces our capacity for empathy and connection.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is indifference of a symptom of emotional burnout?
Absolutely, it can be. Indifference can often be a symptom of emotional burnout or fatigue, where someone has become overwhelmed by stress, trauma, or constant emotional demands. In such cases, indifference can serve as a defense mechanism, protecting the individual from further emotional pain. It can also indicate a deeper underlying issue like depression or anxiety, where emotional numbness becomes a coping strategy. So, in many ways, indifference can be a reflection of deeper emotional struggles.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is that can being indifferent be a copy mechanism for pain?
Absolutely. It definitely can be. Indifference often serves as a
Please continue with your answer.
Of course, indifference often serves as a protective mechanism to shield us from emotional pain. When someone is overwhelmed by hurt, trauma, or distress, adopting and absolutely emotional distance can help protect the person from feeling overwhelmed or getting hurt even more deeply. Over time, it can become a coping strategy that helps them manage their emotions and avoid the intensity of pain. While it can be helpful in the short term, it's important to address the underlying emotions eventually so that it doesn't become a long term barrier to healing and connection.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is, how do you differentiate between emotionally stability and difference?
That's a great question. Emotional stability typically means having a balanced, consistent emotional state where you can experience
Please continue
in
with
a
your answer.
of course. So emotional stability means being able to experience emotions fully and respond to them in a balanced and constructive way. On the other hand, indifference absolutely no problem. So while emotional stability means being able to experience emotions in a balanced and healthy manner, indifference usually means a lack of emotion. Of course. In other words, emotional stability allows for a healthy range of emotions and the ability to process them effectively, whereas indifference is more about disengagement and emotional numbness. Essentially, emotional stability maintains a balanced, mindful connection to feelings, while indifference is more of a disconnection and a lack of emotional involvement.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is, have you ever faced indifference from someone you loved?
That's a really heartfelt question. I think many people have experienced indifference from someone they care about at some point. It can definitely feel painful and confusing, especially when you expect warmth and connection. It's definitely a complex and human experience, and it can lead to a lot of reflection and growth. If you'd like to share more, dive deeper into that, I'm here to listen.
Okay, please continue with your answer.
Absolutely. When we face indifference from someone we love, it can really create a sense of distance and hurt, and it often prompts us to reflect on the relationship and our own feelings. It can also be a catalyst for open communication where we try to understand what might be causing that indifference. Ultimately, it can lead to deeper insight and sometimes even growth for both people involved. It's definitely a complex and nuanced experience.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is, how did the experience change your precipitation of care?
That's a really thoughtful question. Experiences of indifference can often deepen our empathy and sensitivity over time, making us more attuned to the emotions and needs of others. On the flip side, it can also teach us the importance of active engagement and open communication in relationships. Ultimately, those experiences can help shape our perspective, making us more compassionate and intentional in how we connect with others moving forward.
Okay, nice answer. So my next question to you is, uh, how do different culture views indifference? Give me a long and explain answer.
Absolutely. Different cultures can have quite varied perspectives on indifference. In some cultures, emotional expression and empathy are highly valued, and indifference might be viewed more negatively, seen as a lack of compassion or community bond. In these cultures, there's often strong emphasis on collective well-being and interconnectedness, so indifference can be seen as a barrier to social harmony. On the other hand, some cultures might emphasize individualism and personal boundaries more strongly. And in such contexts, what might be perceived as indifference could sometimes be seen as a healthy boundary or a form of self-preservation. Of course, additionally, in some cultures, indifference might be more context dependent, where it's understood as a temporary coping mechanism rather than a permanent state. In other cultures, there might be a stronger focus on community support, where indifference is more readily addressed through collective intervention. Ultimately, the way indifference is perceived and addressed can vary widely, influenced by cultural values, social norms, and historical context.
Okay, nice answer. So my last question to you is, how does technology contribute to emotional distress? Give me a short answer.
Absolutely. Technology can contribute to emotional distress by creating information overload, fostering comparison and envy on social media, and sometimes leading to decreased face to face interactions, which can reduce emotional connection. It can also contribute to feelings of isolation or anxiety due to constant connectivity and the pressure to be always available.
Okay, nice answer. Thank you for conversation with me. So viewers, it is about today's call. I hope you like it. So meet another call. For that time, Allah Hafiz, Pakistan, Zindabad.